Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source, quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. We are back today in one of our buyers' favorite subdivisions. This is a region that gets a lot of attention. We've sold a lot of properties out there, and every time we sell out of properties in this region, we always get people requesting, when will you have more, Hemingway? When will you have more? Today is that day. We recently sold 2 lots out here pretty soon after we listed them, so I'm not sure how long this one will be live on the website, but nonetheless, this is an attractive property. It's attractive for a number of reasons. Number one is its proximity to Albuquerque. Number two is, as you can see from the image, it's some very pretty land out here, some wide open spaces. Of course, mobile modular friendly, power close by within 500 feet of the subject property. That's mentioned in the headline. What's not mentioned in the headline is that this specific property backs up to about 7,000 acres of federal land, which of course is always appealing to people shopping for land where they want some privacy, they want some scenic views, and they want that to be maintained for some time to come. Anyway, guys, with all that said, let's get to the specifics. This is reference number VLNM-5601, located in Valencia County, New Mexico, hence the VLNM. More specifically, in the Highland Meadows subdivision. And this is a 5-acre lot, and this 5 acres is priced, as you saw up top, at $6,000. If you come down here on the listing page, guys, as with all of our listings, we've got GPS coordinates, 4 corner points, and a center. Click any one of them, and voila, on Google Maps shall appear the state of Nuevo Mexico. So, it should be noted, guys, that this Highland Meadows subdivision sits about 30 minutes west of Albuquerque. If you know nothing about the geography of New Mexico, certainly you know Albuquerque, fastest growing city in the state, population center of the state, if you will. And this property sits just here about 30 minutes west. In fact, if we right-click and measure distance, you will see that Google Maps backs me up on this 30 minutes west as the crow flies. Of course, a lot of this was right here along the I-40. This is all major highway driving right here. So presumably you're going to accomplish that drive in a lot faster than 30 minutes, maybe 20. We'll say 25 to be safe. Should be noted that a number of buyers that we've had in the past have been people who live in Albuquerque and who have either gotten tired of paying rent out there, they make a good living in the city, but they don't want to live there. So they don't mind the commute back and forth, that 20-minute commute. A lot of population overflow in Albuquerque tends to either migrate out to Rio Rancho in the northwest, Los Lunas down here in the south, or more rural regions like this over here into Highland Meadows. Now, it should be noted, guys, that Highland Meadows, let's do this. Let's zoom in on the map. So this carved out region that you see right here, helpfully labeled by Google Maps as Highland Meadows, that is where this subdivision is located. It's just south of the 40, just here within the Highway 6 corridor, if you will. And it should be noted that the subdivision breaks down into kind of 2 parts. We like to point out on the map here. The first part is north of the 6 right here. A little more development up in this region because they are smaller lots. Also more utilities throughout this area, really ubiquitous up and down every street, not only power but underground utilities out here. And so you'll find more people have kind of moved out here, mobile, modular homes, etc. Additionally, the fire department is out in this region. I believe it is this thing right here, if I'm zooming in on the correct thing. Of course, it's not highlighting on the map. Nonetheless, fire department servicing Highland Meadows is right here within this region, so very close by to the subject property. The second half of the subdivision sits just south of Highway 6 right here. It is this area where the lots are carved up into little larger portions, a lot of 5-acre lots in this area. If you zoom in on the map down here, you will see some development. You will see some people living out here. You'll see some well-maintained roads. Power is not up and down every road, though it is out here servicing home sites. Sits, of course, within 500 feet of the subject property. We'll get back to that in just a bit. Point being, there is a bit of a contrast between the northern portion of the subdivision and the southern portion. Both of these, however, it should be noted, sit just right in the backyard here of the Mesa Redonda. Some beautiful scenic views over here of the nearby mesa, of the nearby foothills, which I will show you in just a bit. Just want to point out, guys, a couple things that are within close proximity to this property. As noted, Albuquerque, of course, is pretty, 30 minutes east of the subject property. If you're out here, you're going to think, am I in the middle of nowhere? Is there anything to do? It is a little remote, guys. It is a little remote. It should be noted, however, that up here along the highway, we have, if I can find it on the map, there it is, the Route 66 Casino. We have this linked on the website, on the listing page. Of course, here you've got a casino. You've got some things to do, right? You've got some restaurants out there. I believe they've got a movie theater at the hotel. Entertainment, yes. Box office. Anyway, so some things to do pretty close by right there, number one. Number two, grocery runs, grocery and supply runs. You've got a little bit up here in Mesita, a little bit 10 minutes northwest of this, some little grocery stores up here, some places to eat. Not a lot, but as far as just quick grocery runs, you could probably access some things over here. It should be noted that the Laguna Pueblo Police Department is also in this region. Of course, anybody who is living out here who needs grocery supplies, anything, they're probably going into the aforementioned Albuquerque, or they're taking Highway 6 down here into Los Lunas. For the record, before I get to Los Lunas, I just want to say my photographer has commented on a number of occasions of exactly how scenic this route is, so apparently it's lovely out there. Whatever the case, in this region, we have a number of attractive features, which, helpfully, guys, we have photos of. So first off, it should be noted Los Lunas has a population of about 16,000. It's the county seat of Valencia County. As noted, there's some population overflow from Albuquerque that tends to be migrating down here. This area is expanding slowly as time goes on. You always hear about this Facebook data center that's out there that supposedly is bringing a lot of jobs to the region. Rail Runner train station is something I want to point out because, of course, this has stops from Belen into Los Lunas, into Albuquerque, Santa Fe, a couple places in between. But the point being is that if you do not enjoy the commute driving-wise, of course, you can always make your way out here to Los Lunas and take the train up, I suppose. That's an option. Whatever the case. Post office out here, all the amenities that you're going to need, some medical care services out here, and, of course, Walmart, guys. Walmart. I would be remiss if I did not mention Walmart. Everybody likes to call and ask, where is the nearest Walmart? So we've gotten in the habit of photographing all of the nearest Walmarts. They look exactly the same. Realistically, we could just recycle one photo on all these listing pages, but our photographer goes out to each one and takes a photo. This is what the Los Lunas Walmart looks like, guys. And it is, as noted, roughly about 20-25 minutes from the subject property. So groceries and supplies pretty close by. Additionally, we got a Home Depot. If you are going to purchase the subject property and you're going to develop it in some way, most likely you're going to need some hammers, some nails, some plywood, other things that you can find at Home Depot. So that is close by as well. And of course, we got grocery stores out here, drugstores, banks, so on and so forth. It's a happening town. By the way, guys, this is the exterior of the Route 66 Casino, which I was speaking about earlier, located roughly about 15 minutes outside the Highland Meadows subdivision along the I-40. After this, we get into some photos of the subject property. I, however, will come back to this in just a bit. Let me go back up here. We're going to zoom in on the map. We're going to talk about where exactly this thing is. So, as noted, guys, this one sits south of Highway 6 down here. You've got some pretty well-maintained roads out here, a lot that are just sort of dirt roads. It should be noted that this one, just want to give you guys a little bit of driving directions here. If you're coming in off the 6, you're taking the Sparrowhawk Road. This is one of the major roads out here to Highland Boulevard. Bang a sharp left. You can take Highland pretty much all the way down to the subject property. It sort of stops here and it turns into this Lucero Drive. I'm fairly certain this Lucero Drive that you see right here was kind of carved out by this owner right here. I don't really think this is a legal road. I think the proper way to go about this is Denny down here to Lucero. Whatever the case, you have this option, provided that this person is not incredibly territorial about their driveway that they carved out. Point is, paved roads all the way down to here, maybe down to here, but then you've got some dirt roads out to the subject property. Anyway, the property sits roughly like this, a rectangle here along Lucero Drive and this unnamed road. You do have legal access, of course, Lucero here along the southern end and along the western end. Yes, let me acclimate myself, western end of the property. Quickly, guys, I just want to point out, we actually have plat maps this time. We were able to wrangle a plat map out of the Valencia County Clerk's office. That usually takes an act of Congress or a papal bull. We got one this time. So just to back us up on this whole rectangular-shaped property on Lucero Drive, you can see, look at that. Squares on a piece of paper. We must be telling the truth. Anyway, guys, back to the photos. Hello, here we go, photos. All right, so this is the road frontage along Lucero Drive. As you can see out here, it's a little bit overgrown. You still got the dirt road. Point being, if you're driving out there, maybe don't take the Prius. Maybe not. Maybe you take a larger truck or off-road capable vehicle the first time you go out there. If you're buying the land, if you're scouting the land. If you do decide to purchase the property and develop it, maybe you work on the roads a little bit and then take the Prius out there next time. Anyway, as you can see from this photo, developed home site fairly close by, nearby power within 500 feet. There's also this thing, which I'll get to in just a second. Anyway, more photos of the road to demonstrate the road frontage. There you go. And there is the aforementioned home site. We actually bought property pretty close to this the last time that we were buying out here. And we've got a ton of photos of this guy's house. Anyway, point being, power roughly 500 feet west of the subject property. There is power in a lot of parts of the subdivision. If we go back to the map here, there's some right here. Obviously, there's some over here. I think if you zoom in on the map, you're going to see more heading down Lucero, kind of dead-ending somewhere around here. Point being, power is still relatively close to this, likely not difficult to get extended out to the subject property. PNM is the utility that services this region. We'll show you the link on our website where you can learn more about them. But they have outfitted many portions of this subdivision with power. My guess is they're used to it. My guess is if you call them up and say, hey, I bought some land in Highland Meadows, what's it going to take to get power extended to my property? They can, my guess is, number one, it's not too expensive because it's not too far, but they can speak to you about that. Anyway, guys, back to the photos. Hang on. All right. So this thing right here, this is a property boundary marker for lot 123. I should have noted this earlier, guys, but this is lot 124. The subject property is lot 124. And if you come down here and you look at this this map that we were talking about, this is 124. 123 apparently had his lot staked. And you're going to see a number of boundary stakes in these photos. They don't pertain to the subject property, but they do pertain to the one immediately east of it. So I believe at the very least you're going to know what your eastern boundary is to your property because of all the stakes that they have out here. And of course the southern property is pretty well dictated by Lucero Road. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all right, back to this. So yeah, lot 123, stakes up and down the property boundary. Anyway, this is what the land itself looks like. As you can see, nice and flat, easy to build on, easy to park on. A lot of scenic views around there. Here's some of the aforementioned property boundary markers I was talking about, etc. So probably not too difficult to go out there and start developing the land without having to worry about excavating or doing too much landscaping. We'll call it landscaping. Anyway, another thing I want to point out, guys, here, you'll notice that there is actually some fencing over here. You can't quite tell it from the pictures, but this is the road right here, and this is the fencing right here. The 7,000 acres of federal land that I had discussed, and I'll show you a little bit more in another photo, is heading off this way just south of the subject property. So point being, you got subject property, a road, and then you got 7,000 acres of land out there. Of course, the benefit of that, as we like to point out, and oh, here's a better photo of that fence, as we like to point out, is that whatever views you're buying today are likely going to be maintained for the foreseeable future. Nobody's going to be building a Walmart out here in the next 5 years. So that's nice. So, of course, if you like the privacy, if you like the scenic beauty of this region, and a lot of people do, that will be maintained for years to come. Anyway, more photos of the land. These get a little visually redundant, guys, so I'm just going to skip ahead here in the gallery. I'll let you review these on your own time. Simply want to point out a couple things. Number one, we got some neighbors out here. We got some moo cows, okay? Of course, if you do have some livestock yourself, you're going to want to fence the property. They're not allowed to just willy-nilly walk around wherever they please, though I think they do sometimes. And after we go through this, of course, you can see some of the nearby developed home sites in the region, as well as the aforementioned utilities servicing those home sites. Of course, it should be noted, guys, that there are no city utilities out here as far as water and sewer are concerned, so you're going to have to drill a well. You're going to have to install your own septic tank. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a bit. Also, with the developed home sites, you can also see the nearby Mesa Redonda. This is just a really lovely area, and of course, if you're into this sort of thing, you can go hiking and climbing out here and exploring the trails in that region once you own land out here in the area. Anyway, and of course, after this, guys, we'd like to direct your attention to the drone shots that we have of the property, which will demonstrate, once again, the size, shape, location, and general footprint of the land. This one, by the way, is the one that will show you. Here's Lucero Drive over here. You can kind of vaguely make out the fencing. But the point is that everything that you see in this photo is part of that 7,000 acres of federal land. So, of course, this area is not going to be developed anytime soon. You're always going to have these views, and quite the views they are. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, guys, I will let you explore the photo gallery on your own time. Let me just direct your attention now. A lot of people like to ask about zoning. They like to ask about covenants and restrictions. If Highland Meadows has any covenants and or restrictions, we have never been able to find them in county records, so I'm fairly confident in saying they don't exist. There's no HOA out here. There's no annual dues. The only thing you really have to worry about, or I should say concern yourself with if you do choose to develop this region is the zoning ordinance out here. So down here in this fourth bullet point, we have a notation about the zoning ordinance. It's defined as a rural residential outland district. And if you click on this link right here, it's going to bring up this helpful PDF. Look at this. This is an excerpt from the zoning ordinance, which will give you a sense of exactly what Valencia County allows and what they do not allow. Now, let me quickly just zip down here to this thing. Point number 3, recreational vehicles, RVs, shall not be used as primary residences in any rural residential district. This is something I like to point out because, of course, everybody likes to call about this. These properties are good for mobile homes. They are good for modular homes. They're, of course, good for SFRs. My guess is if you're building a shipping container and you're up to state building codes, you're going to be good. Once you start getting into some of the more unconventional structures, such as earthship homes, I would very much imagine is not allowed in Valencia County. If you're talking about tiny homes, this is it's a relatively detailed ordinance, and I see nothing in here about minimum square footage. So what I would tell you is that if that is something that you're concerned about, if it is something that you do want to build, reach out to the Valencia County Planning and Zoning Office and ask them, hey, Highland Meadows, Rural Residential Outland District, what's the minimum square footage? Can I put a tiny home out there? I don't know what you consider tiny, but generally speaking, 600 square feet tends to be the minimum square footage we see in a lot of New Mexico counties. So if it's below that, probably not would be my guess, but you should investigate that. Anyway, the point is this zoning ordinance will give you a lot more insight into what you can do out here. Of course, you could also get some insight just by, if you just go out there and drive the region and look what other people have done, that's going to give you a fair indication of what you'll be able to get away with. In regards to the RV, by the way, that we talked about, just to be clear, if you're building a property, you're always going to get a building permit that allows for some kind of temporary domicile on the land during the 12 months or whatever it is that you're building the permanent structure. Counties are very reasonable in that respect. They anticipate that somebody needs something to live out of. So RVs are usually what people do. That's usually, if you do see somebody living out of an RV out there, that's usually the circumstance. They have a building permit. They're allegedly, supposedly working on that. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. More up here on the listing page. Hello, click the wrong one. More up here on the listing page, guys. I do want to point out PNM, again, local utility service in this region. Click this link. It's going to take you to their website. They will know infinitely more about the cost, about the logistics involved in getting power extended to a property, getting power connected to whatever you decide to develop on the land. Please reach out to them. Talk to them about this if this is a concern that you have. If you call our office, you'll talk to me, and you'll learn exactly how little I know about this topic. So call them. Anyway, additionally, guys, here on the listing page, we also have a helpful link, not here, but down here, to not only the County Planning and Zoning Office, but also to the New Mexico State Engineer. As mentioned earlier, no city water in this area, so if you do want to develop out here, you're going to be drilling a well. Of course, this is the government entity responsible for all well permits, water rights within the state. If you want to get permitted for a well, you're going to have to talk to them. They also have, you can look up on this website. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It's not the most intuitive thing. But you can look up what other wells in this region are, what drill depth they are at. Or you can call local well drillers. That's usually the easier way to go about it. That being said, once again, I will direct your attention to the map. When I see this many home sites, developed home sites, people living them in a given region like this, in this whole area, down here, a lot of them up here, so on and so forth, it suggests to me that the water table is fairly accessible. You're not going to have to go down too far. People who are living out here are not each spending $1 million to get a well drilled. So logic would dictate it should be fairly affordable, but please do not trust a stranger on the internet with this information. Let's call professional well drillers and ask them if it is something we are concerned with. Anyway, guys, finally, if this is something that you are interested in purchasing, I think I covered all the major points here, guys. If this is something you are interested in purchasing, come up here, click the Buy Now button. It will take you to this secure checkout page. This is a $6,000 property, guys. We don't have any financing available with it. We're looking for somebody who can afford the whole $6,150 at once. That being said, if you are one of these people who has a limit on your credit card, which is perfectly understandable, and you want to pay for this, but you just need to separate it over 2 cards, 3 cards, give us a call. 702-919-7170, or shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com. We will help you accomplish that. Whatever the case, pretending for 2 seconds, you can charge the whole thing at once and are so inclined to do so. Legal name for deed, contact information, tax address, where is Valencia County going to send the nominal tax assessment every year, annual bill. Agree to the terms of service, click next, and on the next page we're going to ask for credit and or debit card information. You make the payment, and we are the owners of this property. As with all the properties that we sell on our website, we own the property. Once you give us money, as far as we are concerned, you own the property. That being said, practically speaking, the process, within the next 24 hours after you make that payment, we're going to get some documentation to you in an email, including a new deed. Once you proofread it, make sure we're spelling your name right, your husband's name right, your kid's name right, whatever. Once everything's good, everything's copacetic, we're going to autograph and notarize it, mail it off to the county to be recorded. County records, and then they will forward it on to you. As we like to tell our buyers, it's about 3 weeks start to finish before that document is in your hand. That being said, as noted, we own it. You gave us money. As far as we are concerned, now you own it. And if you want to go out there and begin doing whatever on the land, most likely no one is going to question you in the 3 weeks it takes for that deed to show up. I would be shocked if anyone actually did question you. Anyway, with all that said, guys, as noted, these are incredibly popular properties, particularly being in such close proximity to Albuquerque, relatively close proximity, etc. So if this is something you are interested in, I would encourage you to act sooner rather than later. These do tend to sell quickly. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions, leave a comment here on the YouTube or shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.